How did my secret affair turn into a moment where a process server handed me papers in front of other parents? Why was my husband calm in the same week he landed in the hospital while I was the one shaking? What did he collect that made my whole story fall apart in one public minute? My name is Merricat Sloane. I was 34, and I worked at the front desk of a dental clinic in Oak Ridge. People thought my life was tidy. I had a husband who paid bills on time. I had 2 kids who smiled in school photos. I had a house with a clean porch and a small garden I never touched. That was the picture. I protected that picture like it was my job. But I also felt bored. I told myself it was normal. I told myself that marriage was supposed to be fun, and if it was not fun, then it was a problem. I blamed the problem on Evan. Evan Sloane was my husband. He was 36. He worked for the city as a building inspector. He liked rules. He liked early mornings. He liked checking smoke alarms and writing notes in a small notebook. He was not loud. He did not flirt. He did not chase me around the house. I used to say I liked that. Later, I said it was proof he did not want me. That morning, I walked into the clinic and fixed my hair in the glass door. I did not do it for myself. I did it for the feeling I got when someone noticed. The waiting room smelled like mint and paper cups. The printer behind me made short clicks. I opened the schedule and acted busy. I liked being seen as the person who controlled the day. Grant Keller came in around 10. He was a sales rep. He brought boxes of samples and smiled like he belonged there. He wore a watch that looked expensive. He leaned on my counter as if it was his counter. He asked if I always looked this serious at work. I said I had to keep the whole place running. He said I should get a medal. I said I would take coffee instead. I said it like a joke, but I liked how he watched my face. I liked that he did not look past me, like Evan sometimes did when he was tired. Grant asked if I had plans later. I said I had the usual family stuff. He said that sounded like a cage. I laughed, even though I did not want to call it that out loud. He told me he could make a boring week feel lighter. I did not stop him. I told myself it was just talk. I told myself talk did not count. That is how I started. I used words to make a line, and then I pretended the line was not there. At lunch, I went out to the parking lot to check a delivery. That is what I wrote in my mind. Outside, the air was cold and bright. I sat in my car and looked at my phone. Grant had already sent a message with a smiling face and a simple question about my day. My heart did a small jump like I was 16. I hated that I liked it. I also loved it. I saved his number under a fake name, like it was a cute trick. I chose a name that looked like a vendor. I told myself I was being careful. In truth, I was making space for a lie. When I went back inside, I saw the clinic manager, Denise, pointing at the schedule. She asked if I could stay late because someone called out. I said yes right away. I did not even think. The lie made itself easy. I already had a cover now. I could stay late and not sound strange. On my break, I texted my best friend Jade. She owned a salon and lived for drama. I told her that Evan was being distant again and that I was done being ignored. I made it sound like a brave speech. Jade replied fast. She said I should stop begging for crumbs. She said I should remember I was still young. She asked if anyone cute was giving me attention. I did not say I was married like it mattered. I said someone at work noticed me. Jade sent a row of fire emojis. She told me to take what I deserved. That word, deserved, felt warm in my mouth. I swallowed it and let it sit inside me. After work, I drove home later than usual on purpose. I wanted to arrive with a story ready. I wanted to walk in like the tired hero. I parked and sat for a moment, watching the house lights through the windshield. Evan's car was in the driveway, pointed toward the street like he had backed in. That was new. I told myself it meant nothing. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. Inside, the kitchen was clean in a way that felt sharp. The kids' plates were stacked. 2 mugs sat on the counter, but they were not together. One was near the sink, and one was near the far corner, like someone had pushed it away. Evan asked how my day was. I said it was chaotic and the clinic needed me. He asked why my shift changed so suddenly. I said Denise begged me, and I could not say no. He asked why I did not text. I said I was running around and my phone was dying. My phone was at 80%. He looked at me for a long moment. He did not shout. He did not call me names. That calm made me angry because it did not give me a place to hide. So I built a place. I asked why he always questioned me. I said it felt like he did not trust me. He asked if I wanted trust or freedom. I said I wanted respect. I said respect followed results. And I had results. I made my job sound bigger than his. It was mean, but it worked. It made him quiet. The kids ran in with socks half on. Ava asked if we could watch a movie. I said yes too fast. Noah asked for dessert. I said he could have it if he cleaned up. I used the kids like a wall, and I hated myself for it. I also felt smart. That is the ugly truth. Later, when the kids were in bed, Evan stood at the kitchen counter with his phone. I saw his screen light up. It was a calendar view. There was a block with a place name and a time, like Maple Square 7:30 p.m. He did not say what it was. When he noticed me looking, he tilted the screen away like it was private. He asked if I needed anything. I said no. He nodded once, like he was marking something in his head. Then he walked down the hall, and I heard a soft click from a drawer closing. I told myself he was being dramatic. I told myself he wanted me to feel guilty. Still, I watched his back and felt a strange chill, like I had stepped onto a floor that looked solid but was not. I woke up the next day and told myself I felt normal. I made lunches with fast hands. I signed a school form and did not read it. I kept thinking about Grant's message from the parking lot, like it was a secret prize. Evan moved around me in the kitchen without touching me. He asked what time I would be home. I said late again. He asked if it was the same staffing problem. I said yes and acted tired. He said okay in a flat voice. I wanted him to argue. If he argued, I could call him jealous. If he stayed calm, I had to sit with my own choices. At work, I checked my phone too much. Grant asked if I liked rooftop bars. I said I did not go out much. He said that was a waste. I said it was just how life was. He said life could be flexible. I said my husband was not. I said that like a joke, but I liked how easy it was to frame Evan as the blocker. Denise announced we had a staff appreciation thing coming up. Jade sent me an invite to a rooftop bar that night with her friends. Tara, my sister, also said she would go. I told Evan it was a work-related meetup. I said it was important for connections. I made my tone serious, like I was sacrificing for our future. Evan asked who would be there. I said co-workers and some local people. He asked if it was at a bar. I said yes and acted like he was old-fashioned for caring. He asked if I wanted him to come. I said he would hate it. I said he did not fit in with that crowd. I said it like I was protecting him, but I was really separating him. He said he could still come if it mattered. I said it did not matter that much. He nodded. He went quiet again. He washed his mug and set it far from mine, near the corner of the counter. I watched him do it and told myself he was being childish. That evening, I dressed with care. I told myself it was just being confident. I told myself Evan should be happy I felt good. He saw me by the mirror and asked if I was trying to impress clients. I said it was just a nice top. He asked why I wore it for a work meetup. I said because I wanted to. I asked why he always looked for problems. I made him the one on trial. Jade picked me up. She looked me over and said I looked alive. I said I was done shrinking. She laughed and said I needed to remember my power. Tara texted that she was already there and had a table. The rooftop was loud and bright. The city looked like a photo behind us. People held drinks and leaned close to talk. Music covered silence, so nobody had to feel awkward. I loved it. I felt like my real life was waiting at home, and this was my reward. Grant was there. I told myself it was coincidence. I told myself that was proof it was harmless, like we were all just adults in the same world. He came up fast and acted like we had known each other for years. He asked if I made it. I said yes and thanked him for the idea. He said he knew I would like it. I said he was confident. He smiled like that was the point. Jade asked who he was. I said he was a rep who worked with our clinic. She raised her eyebrows. Tara said he looked fun. I felt proud, like I had brought entertainment. Evan arrived later than I expected. I had told him it did not matter, but he came anyway. He stood near the entrance and looked around. He did not storm in. He did not grab my arm. He did not act crazy. He just looked out of place in a plain jacket. That was enough for me to treat him like a problem. He walked over and asked if this was the whole group. I said yes and introduced him quickly. Jade said hi with a smile that was a little sharp. Tara said he was brave for coming. I knew what she meant. It meant he was brave for entering my world, not brave for supporting his wife. Evan asked if I was having fun. I said yes and told him to relax. He asked who Grant was. I said a vendor and acted bored. Grant offered Evan a handshake. Evan took it and kept his face neutral. Grant asked what Evan did. Evan said he worked for the city and inspected buildings. Grant said that sounded strict. Evan said it kept people safe. Grant laughed like safety was a joke. I watched them and felt two things at once. I felt annoyed that Evan was decent. I also felt annoyed that Grant was too smooth. I wanted the story to be simple. I wanted Evan to be the villain and Grant to be the spark. Real life was more messy. Jade pulled out her phone and said we needed a group photo. Tara moved in close to me. Grant stepped beside me without asking. Evan ended up on the outer edge, half behind someone's shoulder. I saw it and did not fix it. I told myself he chose that spot. I told myself it was not my job to place him. After the photo, Tara posted it fast. She tagged me and Jade. She did not tag Evan. I saw it on my screen and felt a rush. I felt like I had proof that I was popular and wanted. I also felt like I had erased Evan on purpose. I told myself it was accidental. Evan saw the post too. He asked why he was not tagged. I said Tara probably forgot. He asked why he was cut off in the frame. I said it was a crowded photo. He asked if I could post a better one. I said he was being sensitive. I said he was ruining a good night. He asked if Grant was flirting with me. I said he was imagining things. I said Evan always did this when I tried to have fun. I said he wanted to keep me small. I said it loud enough that Jade could hear. Jade nodded like she agreed. Tara sighed like she was tired of him. It felt good to have an audience. Evan asked if we could talk somewhere quiet. I said no. I said there was nothing to talk about. I said if he needed reassurance, he should work on his confidence. I watched his jaw tighten, and I felt powerful. I knew it was unfair. I still did it. We left before midnight. Evan drove. I sat in the passenger seat and scrolled my phone like he was a taxi driver. He asked if I could stop posting for the night. I said he could not control what I did online. He asked if I cared how it looked. I said yes, and that was why he should not make it look bad. At home, he did not argue more. He went to the kitchen and rinsed his mug. He set it on the far side again. Then he walked to the hallway and I heard a soft click, like a drawer or a lock. I told myself he was sulking. I told myself I would not chase him. The next day was my mother's birthday dinner at a family restaurant. A long table was waiting for us under warm lights. Deborah sat at the head like it was a throne. Tara and Jade were there too, like it was normal for my friends to be in family space. I liked that mix. It made me feel like a leader. Deborah asked how I was. I said I was busy and tired. She asked if Evan helped enough. I said he did what he could. I said it in a way that sounded like he did not do much. Deborah frowned at him. She asked Evan why he always looked so serious. Evan said work was heavy lately. Deborah said he should smile more because I needed joy. I let her say it. I even nodded. Evan asked if we could not do this at dinner. I said I did not know what he meant. Deborah said he was too sensitive again. Tara laughed and said Evan had main character stress. Jade said men love to play victim. I sat there and let them build a story. Ava ate fries and watched our faces. Noah dropped his fork and said the table was too loud. I told him to use his inside voice. I did not tell the adults to lower theirs. Evan tried to focus on the kids. He cut Noah's chicken and asked Ava about school. Ava said she had a spelling test. Evan said he could help her practice later. I should have felt comfort. Instead, I felt irritated that he looked like a good father while I was acting like the fun one. When the bill came, Evan paid without a comment. Deborah said he could at least act happy to provide. Evan said it was fine. Leon and Patricia were not there, but I could almost hear what they would say if they saw this. I did not want them to see it. I wanted my side to stay in control. On the drive home, Evan asked if I enjoyed making him the joke. I said nobody made him the joke except himself. He asked if I wanted to stay married. I said he was dramatic and needed sleep. He did not push more. He just looked ahead. At home, he took his keys and set them in a small bowl by the door. I noticed a new key on the ring, plain and silver. I asked what it was. He said it was for a file cabinet at work. His tone was calm. I nodded like I believed him, and I told myself it did not matter. But my stomach stayed tight, like my body knew something my mouth refused to say. I started to treat the school pickup line like a stage. I did not say that out loud. I told myself I was just social. I told myself I was building community. But I liked the way people listened when I spoke first. That Monday, I parked behind a grey SUV and checked my mirror. I fixed my lipstick and smiled at my own face like I was my best friend. The other parents stood in small groups. They held coffee cups and talked about teachers and schedules. I walked up like I belonged at the center. One mom, Leela, asked how my weekend was. I said it was busy because Evan had been moody again. She asked what I meant. I said he was tense and kept checking my plans. I made my voice light, like it was funny. I said I could not even go out without him acting strange. Lila frowned and said that sounded hard. I nodded like I was carrying a heavy load. Another parent, Mark, waved at Evan across the line. Evan stood near the fence with Noah's backpack. He looked down at his phone. He did not look at me. I felt that sharp anger again. I wanted him to look upset, not distant. Distant meant he was choosing something. Lila asked if Evan was always like that. I said he used to be sweet, but now he was cold. I said it like I was grieving. I did not mention the rooftop bar. I did not mention Grant. I left out all the parts where I made Evan small on purpose. When Ava came out, she ran to Evan first. I saw it happen, and my chest tightened. I told myself she was just excited. I told myself I was not competing with my husband for our child. Still, it felt like a loss. In the car, Ava asked why Dad slept on the couch. I said he liked space when he was stressed. She asked if it was because he was mad at me. I said no and smiled too fast. Noah asked if we could have pizza. I said maybe, if everyone behaved. Evan did not add anything. He stared out the window as we drove. At home that night, I tried to act normal. I asked Evan if he wanted to watch a show. He said he needed to finish some work notes. I asked what notes. He said it was just routine. He said it with the same calm voice he used when he talked to inspectors and contractors. I hated that voice now. It made me feel like I could not move him. In the kitchen, I saw his laptop open for a second when he stood up. It showed rows and columns like a spreadsheet. There was no title I could see, just numbers and dates. He closed it when he noticed me. He asked if I needed the charger. I said no and tried to sound casual. He nodded and went back to the guest room. The guest room door clicked again that night. It was not loud, but I heard it. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I told myself Evan was being dramatic. I told myself he wanted me to feel guilty, because guilt was his only weapon. That is what I told myself. The truth was that his silence felt like he was building something without me. At the clinic the next day, Grant acted like nothing was wrong. He leaned on my counter and asked if I enjoyed the rooftop. I said it was fun, but my husband had made it weird. He asked if Evan was jealous. I said Evan did not like seeing me happy. Grant shook his head and said that was sad. I liked hearing someone agree with my version. It made my version feel real. Grant asked if I wanted to meet for lunch later in the week. I said my schedule was tight. He said tight schedules could be moved. I said I would see. My hands were a little shaky as I typed, but I blamed caffeine. Denise walked by and said the schedule needed updates. She asked if I could cover Thursday afternoon. I said yes right away. I did not even check with Evan. I loved how easy it was to make a cover story. Work was my perfect mask. Nobody argues with work. I wrote a note for myself on a sticky pad and put it under the keyboard. I wrote training in big letters, like that made it official. When I got up to file patient forms, I noticed Evan had texted me earlier. He asked what time I would be home and if the kids had homework. I read it and did not answer for an hour. I wanted him to feel what I felt. I told myself he deserved the discomfort. On my break, I messaged Jade and said Evan was acting like a detective. Jade replied that men did that when they had nothing else to offer. She told me to stay confident. Tara sent a meme about controlling husbands. I laughed out loud in the break room and felt strong again. That afternoon, I parked behind the clinic building and sat in my car. Grant came out to get something from his trunk. He asked if I was okay. I said Evan had been exhausting. He said I deserved peace. I said I did. I said it like a fact. Grant asked if I ever thought about leaving. I said I could not, because of the kids and the house and how it would look. He said looks were not everything. I said they were, and I meant it. In my world, a clean story mattered more than clean choices. When I got home, Evan was in the hallway with a folder in his hand. The folder had a simple label on it in black marker. I only saw it for a second. It said utilities. He slid it into a drawer and closed it. He asked if I had a good day. I said yes and asked why he looked tired. He said he was fine. I tried to pull him into a fight. I asked if he was ignoring me. He said he was focusing on the kids. I asked if he was punishing me. He said he was choosing calm. I said calm was just another way to control. He did not react. Later, while the kids colored at the table, Evan's phone buzzed. The screen showed no caller ID. He picked it up and stepped outside. I watched him through the window. He stood near the driveway and spoke in a low voice. He did not pace. He did not wave his arms. He listened more than he spoke. Then he ended the call and stood still for a moment, like he was thinking. When he came back in, I asked who it was. He said it was just a follow-up call. I asked about what. He said personal stuff, and that it was handled. I told him he was being secretive. He said he was allowed to have privacy. I felt my face heat up. Privacy was supposed to be my thing, not his. That night, as I loaded the dishwasher, I heard a faint beep from the guest room. It was soft, like a phone app starting. Then it stopped. I froze with a plate in my hands and listened. The house was quiet. The kids were asleep. Evan did not come out. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was imagining sounds because I felt guilty. Then I told myself I did not even have a reason to feel guilty, because Evan had pushed me away first. I stacked the plate anyway and forced my hands to move. Before bed, Evan asked if Ava had her spelling list ready. I said yes. He asked if Noah needed his water cup. I said it was by the bed. He nodded like he was checking items off in his mind. He did not ask about my day again. He did not ask where I would be tomorrow. He did not chase the truth. I lay awake and stared at the dark. I thought about the rooftop photo still online. I thought about how easy it was to get people to laugh at Evan. I thought about how Evan never tried to explain himself to anyone. For a moment, I felt a small fear. Then my phone buzzed. Grant had sent a short message asking if Thursday was still good. I typed back yes before I could think, because saying yes made me feel like I was still in control. Evan was in the guest room behind a locked door, and I told myself that meant I had already won. The fundraiser night came fast. It was for the school library, and the flyer said community night. I told people it mattered to me. I acted like a leader who cared. The truth was simpler. I wanted a room full of witnesses. I wanted everyone to see me as the strong one, and Evan as the difficult one. I picked my outfit like it was armor. I told Evan we needed to show up as a family. He asked if the kids would be tired. I said they could handle one night. He asked if my mother and sister would be there. I said yes and acted like that was normal. He did not argue. He just helped Ava with her hair and zipped Noah's jacket. In the car, Evan asked what the plan was. I said we would smile and donate and leave. He asked if we could avoid jokes about him tonight. I said nobody planned jokes. I said it like he was being paranoid. He looked out the window and went quiet again. The community hall was bright, with folding tables and a small stage. There were banners made by kids, and a snack table with cookies. Parents wore their good neighbor faces. I liked that kind of space because it was easy to control with the right tone. Jade was already there. Tara waved from a corner near the raffle tickets. My mother, Deborah, stood with two other women like she owned the room. When she saw me, she opened her arms and said I looked tired. I said I was carrying a lot lately. I made sure Evan heard it. Deborah asked Evan if he was still acting cold. Evan said he was fine. Deborah said I needed warmth, not rules. Tara laughed and said men loved rules because feelings were hard. Jade said I deserved to be celebrated. People around them smiled like they were hearing a funny story. I felt my cheeks lift into a practiced smile. Evan asked if we could keep it polite. I said it was polite and he was too sensitive. I said it in a calm voice. I liked how calm I could sound while being cruel. It made me look reasonable. A parent volunteer asked if I could say a few words on stage, since I worked with so many families at the clinic and knew everyone. I said yes right away. I told myself it was for the library. I also knew it gave me a microphone. While the kids ran toward the craft table, Evan stood by the wall and watched them. He looked tired, like he had not slept well. I noticed his face was a little pale. For a second, I almost felt bad. Then Jade leaned close and said I should own the room. That pushed my pity away. Before my turn, Grant texted me. He asked how my night was going. I said it was a boring family event. He said boring could be fixed later. I smiled at my phone. I did not look at Evan when I typed. Evan saw the glow and asked who I was texting. I said it was Jade about the raffle. He looked at Jade, then back at me. He did not say anything. He just breathed out slowly, like he was trying to stay steady. The principal called my name. I walked up to the stage with my best smile. The lights were not strong, but they were enough. People turned their heads. I felt that rush again. I told myself I deserved it. I thanked everyone for coming. I spoke about the kids and reading and community. Then I added a funny part. I said marriage was also community work, and sometimes one person carried the whole emotional load. I said some husbands love to act like supervisors instead of partners. I said it like a harmless joke, but I let my eyes slide toward Evan. People laughed. Not everyone, but enough. Deborah laughed the loudest. Tara clapped like it was a comedy show. Jade raised her phone, and I saw the camera light. I felt proud and safe at the same time. If people laughed, it meant I was right. Evan's face tightened. He did not shout. He did not storm the stage. He just looked down, like he had been slapped in a place nobody could see. That should have been my warning. Instead, I kept going. I said I believed in strong women who refused to shrink. I said we should never let anyone police us with fear. I said it like I was talking about empowerment. In my head, I was talking about my affair without saying the word. When I stepped off the stage, people came to me and said it was so true. A few moms nodded at me with sympathy, like I was surviving something. I accepted it. I let it settle on my shoulders like a prize. Evan asked if I was done. I said it was just a speech. He asked why I looked at him during it. I said he imagined that too. He said he wanted to take the kids home soon. I said he always tried to cut me off from fun. I said it loud enough for Tara to hear. Tara said Evan should loosen up for once. Jade said he should learn to take a joke. Deborah said I had been patient for years. They piled words on him like heavy coats. Evan's breathing changed. It was small, but I saw it. He put a hand on the back of a chair. He asked Ava to come closer. He asked Noah if he needed the bathroom. His voice was careful. He was trying to keep his body under control. I should have stopped. Instead, I leaned into my story harder. I told Deborah that Evan had been monitoring me and making me feel trapped. Deborah shook her head and said that was unacceptable. A woman near her whispered something and looked at Evan like he was suspicious. Evan took one step toward the hallway, like he wanted air. I followed 2 steps behind, because I did not want him to escape the scene. He asked me to stop turning people against him. I said I was just telling the truth. He said the truth was not a joke. I said he was fragile. In the hallway, away from the music, his face went grey. He pressed his fingers to his temple. He asked if we could leave now. I said he was ruining everything again. He tried to answer, but his words came out thin. Then his knees buckled. It was fast and quiet. There was no struggle. No one hit anyone. Evan simply went down, like his body had finally refused the pressure. Someone shouted for help. Another parent ran to get the nurse who worked at the school. I stood there for a second, frozen, because I did not know how to act. Then I acted. I stepped in and told people to give space. I said he had been stressed lately. I did not say he had been humiliated on stage. I did not say I pushed him. I framed it like it was his weakness, not my cruelty. The nurse checked him and told someone to call an ambulance. Evan's eyes opened for a moment. He looked at me, not angry, just distant. That look made me feel sick. It was like he had stepped away from me in his mind. At the ER, the waiting area smelled like cleaner and old coffee. The chairs were hard, the lights were too white. Ava leaned against my side and asked if Dad would die. I said no and tried to keep my voice smooth. Noah asked if we could go home. I said soon, even though I did not know. A triage nurse asked what happened. I said he fainted because he had been under stress and took things too seriously. I said it like a neat summary. I did not mention the speech. I did not mention the laughing. Deborah arrived and hugged me like I was the injured one. She asked if Evan had been dramatic at the event. I said he couldn't handle emotions. Tara said people were texting already. Jade said I should watch what I said because the room had cameras. That made my stomach drop. When Evan was moved into a room, I tried to go in with him. A nurse said only one person could enter at a time, and they wanted quiet. Patricia arrived then, fast and focused. She did not hug me. She asked where the kids were. I said they were with Deborah. Patricia nodded once and went into Evan's room without looking at my face. I sat in the waiting area and watched the doors. I told myself Evan was making this bigger than it was. I told myself he chose to collapse at a public event because he wanted sympathy. I told myself that, because if I did not believe it, I would have to see myself clearly. When Patricia came out, her eyes were sharp. She asked what happened at the fundraiser. I said it was just normal stress. She asked what I said on stage. I said it was a harmless joke about marriage. Patricia's mouth tightened. She said jokes did not put people in the hospital. She said Evan needed rest and peace, and I needed to stop performing. I wanted to snap back. I wanted to say Evan was always too sensitive. But the ER made everything feel heavier. I swallowed my words. Later, Evan came out in a wheelchair for a test. He looked small under a thin blanket. He did not reach for my hand. He asked if the kids had eaten. I said yes. He asked if Ava had her spelling list. I said it was in her backpack. He nodded, like those details were the only safe things left. Before they rolled him away, he looked at me again and asked if we could stop doing this in public. I said he was blaming me for his stress. He did not answer. He just closed his eyes like he was done listening. That night, when we finally got home, the house felt different. The air felt colder. Evan did not go to our bedroom. He walked straight to the guest room. I heard the lock click, slow and final. I stood in the hallway and told myself I still had control, but my hands were shaking, and I did not know why. The next morning, Evan drove himself back to the hospital for a follow-up check. Patricia insisted on going too. I wanted to go, but not because I cared the right way. I wanted to go because I wanted to control what doctors heard and what family believed. Evan told me he did not need help. I said he should not act proud. He said he needed quiet, not a debate. He spoke like he was reading from a rule book. That tone made me feel smaller, so I pushed harder. I asked if he planned to punish me by acting distant. He said he was not punishing me, and he was not performing for anyone. He said he was trying to recover. I told him he was overreacting, and that a normal husband would want to fix things with his wife. He said a normal wife would stop humiliating him. I acted offended like he had attacked me. While he was gone, Deborah came over with coffee and opinions. She sat at my kitchen table and sighed like she was the hero in a sad movie. She asked if Evan was still being cold. I said yes, and added that he was now locking himself away. Deborah shook her head and said, I could not live with a man who shut me out. I nodded, even though I was the one who kept secrets first. Tara called on speaker and asked what happened after the fundraiser. I said Evan collapsed because he could not handle stress. I left out my speech again. Tara said people were still talking about it. She said some parents felt bad for Evan, but others thought he was controlling because of what I had said. That gave me a small relief. At least my story was still alive. Jade texted that I should stop looking guilty. She said guilt was a weak look. She told me to post something about mental health and supporting a partner. She said it would make Evan look unstable if he pushed back. I liked the idea because it was clean and public, so I posted a short message about hard weeks and holding a family together. I did not mention the affair. I did not mention the jokes. I used soft words and a heart emoji. People commented that I was strong. That praise felt like medicine. When Evan came home, he did not look at my post. He walked in slowly and took his shoes off by the door. He washed his hands for a long time. Then he opened the hall closet and took out a small bin with labeled folders. I saw household, bank, and insurance. He moved them like he was sorting tools, not feelings. I asked what he was doing. He said he was organizing. I said it was strange timing. He said it was overdue. I asked if he thought I was irresponsible. He said he thought our life needed structure. I told him I had always kept things running. He said I kept appearances running. I did not answer because that hit too close. That afternoon, Patricia called and asked if the kids could stay with her for dinner. She said Evan needed rest, and she wanted the house quiet. I wanted to say no, but I knew it would look bad. I told her yes, and said I appreciated her help. My voice sounded sweet, but my stomach was tight. At Patricia's house, the living room was warm and neat. Ava sat on the rug with coloring paper. Noah lined up toy cars in a straight row. Evan sat on the couch with a blanket and a glass of water. Leon sat in a chair near the window and watched everyone like a judge. Patricia asked me to sit. She asked how I thought Evan ended up in the hospital. I said he had been stressed and sensitive for months. Leon asked what kind of stress. I said work and his need to control. Evan looked down at his hands. He did not jump in to defend himself. That quiet made me angry again. Patricia asked if I had been kind to him. I said I tried, but he pushed me away. Evan finally spoke and said I embarrassed him in front of people. I said it was a joke, and he knew my humor. Leon asked why a joke needed a stage and a microphone. I said I was speaking for women. Leon said I was speaking for my ego. I felt heat in my face. Ava looked up and asked if we were mad at Dad. Patricia told her no and said adults were talking. Noah asked if Dad could come home. Evan said he was home, just resting. His voice stayed steady. He did not make the kids pick sides. That made him look good, and it made me look like the storm. I tried to flip it. I said, Evan sleeping behind a locked door scared the kids. Evan asked when the kids had ever said they were scared of him. I said they did not have to say it for it to be true. Leon told me not to put words in their mouths. Patricia told me to stop using the children as proof. I felt cornered. Evan said he wanted one thing, calm for the kids. He said he would handle school drop-offs, meals, and bedtime while he recovered. He said he did not want arguments in front of them. I said he was cutting me out. He said I could be involved, but it had to be predictable and respectful. I asked if he was making a plan to leave me. He said he was making a plan to protect the children. I said I was their mother, and he could not act like a gatekeeper. He said he was not gatekeeping. He was setting boundaries. I said boundaries were just control in a nicer outfit. Patricia told me I was twisting words. On the drive home, I called Deborah and said Evan's parents were turning him into a victim. Deborah said they always thought Evan was perfect. She told me to stand my ground. Tara texted me that I should not let Evan rewrite history. Jade sent a voice message telling me to stay calm and keep everything public. I listened to them because they made me feel less wrong. At home, Evan was in the kitchen, making a simple list on a notepad. It was not fancy, it was just times, like school 8:10, pickup 3:15, dinner 6, ow. A small sticky note near it said, "Bring forms." I pretended not to see it. I told Evan we needed to talk, like a real couple. He asked what I wanted to talk about. I said I wanted him to stop punishing me and come back to our bed. He asked what I was willing to stop doing. I said I did not need to stop anything because I had not done anything wrong. I said he was the one who embarrassed me by acting fragile in public. His eyes narrowed for a second, then went calm again. He asked if I could agree to one rule. No more public jokes about him, no more posts that painted him as unstable, and no more secret schedules. I laughed and asked if he wanted a contract. He said he wanted clarity. I told him he was acting like a robot. He said a robot would have broken earlier, and he did not. I pushed again. I said his hospital episode proved he was not strong enough to handle conflict. I said I worried about the kids around him. I watched his face carefully, hoping he would explode so I could point at it and say, "See?" But he did not explode. He took a slow breath and asked if I was really threatening his parenting because I felt exposed. I said I was only speaking the truth. He said the truth needed facts, not speeches. Then he stood up, picked up his mug, and set it on the far side of the counter again, separate from mine. I followed him to the hall and asked where he was going. He said he was going to rest. I stepped in front of him and said we were not done. He looked at me, steady and tired. He said he would not fight me in the house like this. He said he would not raise his voice. He said he would not give me a scene. Then he said he would handle it properly. And after that, he told me to put everything important in writing. In the office tower lobby, I saw Evan by the security desk, standing straight like he belonged there. A woman in a plain blazer walked to me and asked if I was Merricat Sloane. I said yes and smiled like it was a normal day. She said she was there to serve me. She held out a packet and waited until I took it. I looked at Evan and asked why he was doing this in public. He said he was doing it properly, and he would not argue. I said he was trying to shame me. He said I had already done enough shaming for both of us. I flipped pages and saw a divorce filing and temporary orders. I saw dates, school times, and a schedule that started immediately. My throat went dry. I told him the hospital proved he was unstable. He said the hospital proved stress had a cost, and he had records of where that stress came from. He said he had messages, location logs, and the fundraiser video. I tried to say it was jokes and misunderstandings. He said a judge would not grade my intentions, only my actions. The security guard watched. 2 parents from school walked in and stared. Evan asked me to communicate only in writing about the kids, starting today.